the discharges at concrete. We now know that this can't occur. It cannot occur. The discharges, whatever they are at concrete, they're going to be roughly the same at Cedar Woolley, but they certainly wouldn't decrease by this amount. Look especially at the 1897 data point. It's gone from 275,000 to 190,000 CFS. That just cannot occur. There's not enough in-valley storage between concrete and Cedar Woolley for that to happen. And the other data points have also decreased significantly. Nevertheless, these historic flood estimates, now that we know what we know, could be just directly substituted into the flood frequency calculation. The Corps, however, chose to instead use the concrete discharge information. There is certainly no reason whatsoever to believe that the concrete discharges are more accurate than the Cedar Woolley discharges. Now here's a data set that is a kind of a compendium that I put together based on the Northwest Hydraulics study that was published several months ago, pursuant to the county's request for NHC to take a look again at those historic flood data points. NHC did that, and one of the things that NHC pointed out in its report is that those Cedar Woolley data points could in fact be further reduced and probably should be based on, I don't think NHC said they should be, but could be based on a report that was published in the early 50s, and that report indicated that the first two data points ought to decrease by another 10%. And so this is the data set that you get from that. Now, for those of you who are familiar with natural systems and the statistics involved in that, I used to be better at that than I am now, but this distribution is starting to look like more of a natural system distribution. Now, the City of Burlington, working in partnership with some other entities, conducted a study of the Smith House in Hamilton. And that house, which was built in 1908, had no water in it from the 09, 17, or 21 flood events. And so our consultant, PI Engineering, conducted a study of that reach in Hamilton and determined that at the time, if in fact there's no water in the Smith House, then the highest the water could have been, the highest discharge for the water at that time would have been 188,000 cubic feet per second. And so then if you substitute 188,000 for those data points, making sure that none of the data points is higher than 188,000, you get a distribution that looks like this. And so this is pursuant to this information from the Smith House investigation. PI Engineering has conducted an additional update of its study 2 years ago and come up with these estimates for the historic flood events. And so this then is the final data set that we believe to be the most accurate for those historic flood data points. So then if you use the Corps analysis, and some of this needs to be updated because I expect that the Corps will include additional data points of the recent 06 flood event, and I don't show it on this graph. But if you use this data set, you get an unregulated peak discharge for a 100-year event of 280,000 cubic feet per second.